Yeah, he's holding a pickaxe, he's wearing a kerchief, he's got his little vest, he's out in the field, he looks very happy. This is my son. We're gonna go on adventures together, we're gonna find some fossils.
I'm Emmy.
I'm Annie.
And this week we have a grab bag for you. It's grab bag
With
time.
a plan? It's grab bag time.
It's grab bag time. Sorry.
Like it's clobbering time. But we do have slightly a plan, and part of that plan is to talk about Hades 2, which I finally have rolled credits on like a year after it went into full 1.0 access. So Emmy's been very patiently waiting for me to finish it so we could talk about the ending, and now we finally can. And can I just say, that was bullshit. That's how I feel about it.
Do you see why I wanted to talk about the ending? See, it's like kind of unfair. You say I've been waiting patiently, but
You have.
and I have
Yeah.
been, but also like I think you fell off of Hades 2 because Silksong came out, and for Silksong, I'm just never gonna finish it. So you've been patiently waiting for me to finish Silksong, and I'm just not following through on my end of the bargain, but you are following through on your end of the bargain.
And it's okay. I understand. You know, like, not every game will be for everybody. So this isn't even a bargain situation. You really were, like, I kept saying I would do it, and I finally have. I have a bunch of other games that I need to finally finish up the ending part of. I meant to do those this week as well, and I just haven't. So I'm still behind. But yeah, Hades 2. I rolled credits, and it was bullshit. And so I think that we should go...
Let's do, very clearly, we're going to talk about spoilers for the ending of Hades 2.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tag it in the captions, but just before we get into any details, give people a second to process that that's what's happening and move on if they want to do that.
Sure. And then you'll be able to skip to the other things we're going to talk about today. So where we left off with Hades 2, or at least where I left off with Hades 2, was I was still struggling against Prometheus, which is the, like, secondary guardian, or sorry, the tertiary guardian of the upstairs, like the heading toward Olympus area. So I was sometimes getting past Prometheus, getting into the very scary, like, top of Mount Olympus area, and had not even made it to Typhon, the final boss of the upstairs yet. Mm-hmm. So this journey was about me trying to master beating Prometheus and then finally beat Typhon for the first time at all. And then I finally did the rolling credits thing of, okay, so once you beat Typhon enough times and Kronos enough times, you get a thing that allows you to beat Kronos for the very final time, and then that rolls credits. So the process, I had done some of the process of this because I played a little bit of the 1.0 before dropping off. The process includes, after you beat Kronos, you're able to go into the Prince Zagreus's room, talk to him through the Mirror of Night to, like, a past version of Zagreus before Kronos came back and ruined everything, and he is able to aid you in defeating Kronos and Typhon for good. But also, and this is where we already talked about how I have this instinct and distaste for this instinct of, like, knowing that Supergiant Games is just going to make everything so nice. Like, what if everything was tied up in a little bow and everything was nicer than it could possibly ever be? And so, a few times into beating Kronos and talking to Zagreus, when Zagreus starts saying, okay, I get that Kronos has done this terrible thing. Our evil grandpa in your time has destroyed the House of Hades, kidnapped everyone that we love, ruined your life, etc. But what if he just did it because he was lonely?
If I could fix him. I can fix him!
The second that started to be part of the conversation, I was like, no, they're doing exactly what I was worried they were gonna do.
I would like to pause and read a message that you sent to me before you saw the ending that I emailed to myself as a receipt.
Oh my god.
And
I don't know what this is gonna be.
You said, the niceness, the why don't we try talking to Kronos first, it's creeping in. And I was like, great, excited to hear about it. Let's talk about it next episode. And then you said, like, please don't tell me this all resolves with them deciding to just keep their evil old racist grandpa around.
Yeah. So then, I mean, we know where it ends up. So, yeah, Zagreus's niceness does get to Melinui, and she's like, you know what? Yeah, what if we did start talking to Kronos about it? What if he is just lonely or whatever? And they do. In the end, they basically branch off history so that there's a version where Kronos is invited to the house the second he reconstitutes himself. So instead of taking over the underworld and ruining everybody's lives, he grows up with Melinui in the house. And then so the timelines converge, and the Kronos that Melinui has been fighting also remembers this other life where he actually like had this family and loved everybody. And then they decide that it's all chill now.
Which, by the way, this all happens in like a cutscene.
Yeah, one cutscene. And I appreciated the parallels in that cutscene of seeing a young Melinui playing hide and seek, except with evil grandpa, instead of the cutscene that we got to her actual childhood that she lived in this timeline, which was playing hide and seek in Erebus with Hecate, who raised her. That was cute. Like, I liked, you know, the parallel lives thing happening. But I'm not saying I don't believe in forgiveness. I'm not saying I don't believe people can change. I think those are two true things. But I do think in this scenario, in particular, that was not the ending this game wanted. Or should have wanted. And I also think that maybe the writers of this game have never had an actual family member that, like, couldn't be rehabilitated in that way. Like, sometimes, for your own sake, you do have to cut somebody off. Or maybe it's written as wish fulfillment. Maybe they do. I don't know people. So maybe they do, and they wish that a person could be rehabilitated and brought back into their family in this way or another. But I don't know. Kronos' whole deal is very, like, Rita Verne in a sort of MAGA way. So then taking this character that for hours upon hours upon hours has been that shitty and terrible, and then wanting us all to just accept his humbling and his return into the fold immediately after all of that, it did not track for me. I hate it. And it sounds like you expected me to hate it.
Yeah, I expected you to hate it, and I also hated it. And I was like, man, I almost want to, like, because in our Hades 2 episode, which was right before it came came out of early access, we were like, having a great time, love the art for the most part. Maybe Annie has some gripes with some, like, character stuff that could be deeper or more interesting. And since ending the game, I was like, God, like, I want to, like, take it all back. Which doesn't mean it's not true.
Aww.
Like, there's aspects that I don't actually. I still had a very good time with it. But I just feel like it really just undermined everything about the game, and it felt so unearned. And I don't think that if the ending of the game was just like, and now we killed Kronos forever, I think that probably also wouldn't be super satisfying. But it, I think, would be better because it just makes sense. And I think that, like, there's a world where this could work, right? Where it's like, and I could be like, I actually love this ending, and I do like when things are, like, really nice. But this feels really nice in a neutered way, and it feels unearned. And I think a lot of it has to do with it happening in a single cutscene that you have no influence over whatsoever. It's not like, oh, you go into, and, you know, I'm not saying that they should have done this and, like, added a bunch of extra work, but, like, I think a world where this would have worked would have been, like, you are also reliving your life alongside him, and you're, like, seeing those changes moment to moment, and your actions have some impact on that, and, like, that would feel like it made more sense instead of being like, oh yeah, like, your brother, like, for some reason is the one who, like, fixes all of this because he decides to be nice, and then there's, like, a 2-minute long cutscene, and it's like, it's all fixed, compared to the hours upon hours that you've worked towards this particular plan, which, like, also, there could be a game out there that's like, you spend hours upon hours upon hours doing this thing that you thought was going to be the right thing to do, and it turns out something else is the right thing to do that didn't take all these hours. And that could be an interesting, compelling message. But I don't think that that's the message here, or something that they were doing intentionally. It just feels like, I don't know. And then my other question about this is like, was this made worse for both of us having played it in early access? And so we've played even more hours than like the person who played it in full release. And Kronos has been there the whole fucking time being a dick. Like, again, it's not that I'm like,
we have more of a grudge than
normal
1.0 players.
It's not that fundamentally it has to be like, oh, we have a grudge and we follow through on it and we kill this dude and that's the right ending. Like, I don't really think that. I just think that that turn wasn't well executed or earned at all.
Well, we can talk about it then in comparison to how this very similar thing goes down in Hades, the first one, which is the person that has prevented you from even knowing your mother is still alive your entire life, going to see her on the surface, continues to fight you till the very end to stop you from meeting her, is your dad Hades, and you also see him every day back home in the house. He's the main villain of Hades, but also softens over time as you fight him. It's done better there because you do see him change over the period of time in which you fight him. You physically wear him down, versus like one cutscene change that occurs to convince Kronos. And that
isn't even you.
That isn't even you. Zagreus got to do it. Which I love Zagreus. I miss our boy, but this is Malinois's game, so she should have gotten to do it. But anyway, I mean, we did get hints of that happening, not just in the conversations with Zagreus, but in the conversations with Kronos as you go to confront him, because maybe I remember this a little bit better because it was more recent for me, but as you go to confront him, sometimes he's like, those people cast me away, why shouldn't I do this to them, it's how it works, girls, like all of his evil things. So the loneliness is like creeping out, even though that's not what he would call it. That is okay. I could see how that was there. But sometimes it's a real, like, cool motive, still murder situation to me. Like, all of that doesn't justify it, and all of that doesn't mean I want evil grandpa back into the fold hanging out, which is what he is. I do like his I'm nice now portrait. Like, he's got a little lock of hair out of his perfectly slicked back, do, so that we know it's the nice version versus the evil version, which keeps showing up.
It's the opposite of, we'll talk about this later, but I've been watching all the Spider-Man movies. It's just like in Spider-Man 3 when Tobey Maguire has his nerd hairdo, and then when he's emo Venom Spider-Man, he takes his bangs out in like the most shitty sports cut side bang situation you've ever seen. It's I guess in both ways they're letting their hair down.
Yes. So this also brings me to another thing that's already bothering me. So to be clear, with Hades 1, I 100%ed that bitch. Like, I played it into the ground. I got all of the fate prophecies. I unlocked all of those statues of Skelly from playing with Heat, like, up to 32 or whatever. I am not motivated to do that again for Hades 2, despite the gameplay being really fun. There are a few characters whose stories I want to finish out, like Odysseus. I want to find the Fates because they made a big hullabaloo about, oh, the Fates are gone, and then that part isn't resolved by defeating Kronos either. That's like extra post-credits stuff. But I don't want to finish it, and part of it is that inherent in a roguelite is the idea that you want to keep repeating it over and over, and so the fact that these have a story with a finished ending at all is directly in conflict with the form. So they have to find some narrative justification to continue going out there and fighting. In Hades, the first one, the justification was that you were still testing the security of the house, and it almost becomes a kind of for fun battle between you and your dad to see what it's like by the end in order to make sure the house of Hades and the underworld is secure. I accepted that. It was still a little silly, but it made sense in the grand scheme of how the story had gone down. The justification they give once you've defeated Kronos and accepted evil grandpa into your home this time is that, well, there are actually a lot of alternate realities in which Kronos is evil and has enslaved the house, and Typhon is fighting, Olympus. So you actually have to destroy those realities as well in order to keep your reality safe. And that was stupid. That is also so stupid to me, because there aren't incursions of reality, really. Like, you don't have to worry about the other reality. That shit didn't happen to you right now. So, actually, you're safe. But you keep fighting anyway. And then every single conversation with every other character for, encounters and encounters and encounters is, wait, why are we still doing this? I thought you defeated Kronos, and then you have to explain to every single person why you're still doing this, and it sounds stupid every single time. So I don't like that either. That's partly why I'm like, why am I continuing?
The other thing with the just having played it in early access just makes me wonder if like it feels like we were doing one story for so long and then got a totally different story at the end, which they understandably were saving until the release.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it makes me also wonder, to what extent was this the plan, narratively for so long, and it just didn't get executed in the way that they might have wanted it to be? Or maybe this is how they wanted it to be, but wasn't that successful? Or was it well, we had these things in place, and then we want to build a strong... I was also thinking about, it's never really made sense to me that, you get to Kronos so fast compared to getting to the top of Olympus. It's why would his army that's, far away from him be doing so much stronger and so much better fighting the gods while, you, trying to get down to him, it's, not that hard, and if you killed him a million times. And there's some aspect of, there's, weak general commanding, but he's also not weak, though. It's just a little weird to me, and it feels like it mirrors the development timeline more than the actual narrative intentions.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's true. That's just how it feels to me.
It is at least acknowledged in game that the Olympus route is supposed to be more difficult, which is, you can tell by... So in this game, eventually you can also unlock various statues for defeating each level on a certain fear. So the same statue is unlocked by defeating, for example, going downstairs at 16 fear and going upstairs at 12. So it's a conscious choice because it takes less fear to unlock the same statue going upstairs as it does downstairs. But I don't know why that's the choice necessarily.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's that's clearly it's not oh, they accidentally made it much harder. It's clearly supposed to be harder. I just don't see it mirrored in a way that makes sense narratively to me.
Yeah. I think the thing that really rankles about this ending choice, not just the acceptance of evil grandpa, but also it completely undoes, not completely, but it undoes the suffering that made Melinoe a compelling protagonist in the first place, which is that she didn't have her happy childhood taken from her anymore. She remembers her not unhappy, but she remembers the bad thing that happened, but she also got to have a happy childhood where she was raised by her family and had a brother and everything. And that cheapens the meaning of the suffering that she went through to get to where she is, I think, in a way that I don't like. And maybe it's just because I don't know, maybe it's just because in real life you can't undo the suffering.
Yeah, it's very like it was all a dream. Like the way that when people end stuff with that, it completely undermines all of the stakes. And in this case, the stakes were like not just like, you know, Mel's upbringing, which like you're not a part of, but like her fighting over and over and over again to get to this. And like I guess there's a payoff in that, like it's like, well, things are safe, but also not really because there's all these other alternate realities or something. But it just like kind of it just feels like it undermines everything that you worked towards.
It does also actually remind me of Supergiant's first game, Bastion. Have you played that one? I forget.
No, I've played Transistor.
Yes, definitely. I don't want to spoil the end of Bastion for you because I still think it's a game worth playing and is a very beautiful one. But there's a choice at the end of Bastion that's basically like move forward or start over. And it kind of comes out of nowhere for a game that doesn't have this same roguelite mechanic, because that's a linear one. And also feels really odd to me based on the narrative of that game. Like, why would you want to do this one all over again in this way? Of course you should move on to the new world. And the fact that they had that in their very first game in something that didn't need that repetition, and I was sitting there like, why would you do this one all over again? Now I feel like that was just pointing to now with Hades 2 being like, what if we did redo this one again?
Yeah, there's like something they're trying to play with.
Where the stakes didn't matter.
Yeah.
As if all of that you went through didn't matter. Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to play with exactly here. Well, I mean, I can see
it's like clear they think it's interesting and they want to play with it. And Hades did a pretty good job with it, but it just doesn't. Yeah. I would like to see them nail it. I don't know that I have that much confidence that they will, or that's what they want to be doing going forward.
Right. Like, I just really hope the next thing is not another Hades sequel. I don't think they should have done this. That's how I feel. And that is how I felt. Like, I was hesitantly excited for a Hades sequel because they, as a company, had been so against doing sequels before. But then, of course, they have a mega hit on their hands and they're like, well, let's do it again. Clearly people liked it. And it just didn't work this time, even though it was fun. I will say, just before I finally left off the game, I got the aspect of the Morrigan for the knives, which rocks. I love the aspect of the Morrigan. So that got me into it again for a while, but yeah, not even the gameplay is keeping me in there. And I started getting pissed off because I was pissed off about the end. I started scrutinizing their characterization of other characters or the ending of their stories as well, and then I started getting madder. Like, I think it's bullshit that Hera, the goddess of, you know, marriage, unity, whatever, is still depicted as the pretty much stone cold bitch that she's always been in the mythology, but a lot of male gods get rehabilitated like mad in order to be nice and fun and cool and sexy for this game. Like Apollo, for example. He's a good pal of Mel's. He's also a rapist, like in the Greek mythology. They kind of all are, but it is interesting to see who gets to be like anime hero niceified and who doesn't when you look at what's going on with these characters. And it is also not interesting, but it also pisses me off again when it comes to like the niceness or the lack of stakes. That, for example, did you follow Pandora's fate to its end at all? Or rather, Dora the Shade?
I think that I like got to full relationship with her, and then I felt like there was just nothing that happened. Is that accurate, or is there something?
Accurate. Like, so Dora is your friend who's an old shade and doesn't remember who she is, and it turns out actually she doesn't remember who she is because she was Pandora, who in life was given a jar of all of the possible ailments that humanity could face, but she wasn't told that's what's in the jar. She was just also imbued with a healthy sense of curiosity. So it was all a trap. Her existence was a trap. She was gonna open that jar to see what was inside and release all the bad things to humanity. And partly the gods did this to her because it was a punishment for Prometheus for creating people and imbuing them with intelligence and stealing fire and giving it to them and all that. So Dora remembers who she was, thanks to some conversations with Prometheus, remembers that she dumped herself in the river Lethe to try to forget, and then in the end she's just like, yeah, I'll just keep being the Shade Dora. This is fine. Never mind. It's all in the past. And that also kind of sucked. I think partly they just didn't want to draw a cool human version of Pandora. I would have loved to see that. But also, it feels like you do all that work for what? And it feels like every single arc in this game, not just the main one, but it's all that work for what? What payoff?
Yeah.
And the answer is, let's just keep things nice and the same. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Maybe I didn't see the end of Dora's stuff because I don't remember her having conversations with Prometheus. Did they explain?
They never talk to each other.
Oh, okay.
You talk to Prometheus and then you bring that info back.
I think I did then because I remember that. Did they explain? Like, didn't he say that she was married to his brother?
Yeah, so there's Prometheus and Epimetheus. I think in some myths she might have been married to Prometheus directly.
That is like a
but I think it's his brother. So
thing. Okay.
Yeah, so Epimetheus was his brother. It was to indirectly punish Prometheus. The gods made this perfect wife for Epimetheus. Pandora gave her the box as a wedding gift. And then also there was hope inside in some versions of the myth. So that's why which some would argue is also a punishment because it makes us keep going even when things suck. But yeah, that's all myth stuff.
I was really hoping that they were gonna have a hot human Dora, and then she could make out with Prometheus. That's what I wanted to happen. If we're gonna go for making things nice, then at least let this hot couple be together.
I know. Would have been pretty cool. But no, instead we have this.
Well, so, Moros is
that
still hot with his antlers. The gameplay's still really fun. It feels so good. I mean, it's like, I'm glad it's there, because Hades was so fun, and then you got to play more Hades, and that was fun, but from most of the other aspects, or at least from the, like, narrative wrapping, I felt really let down and bummed about it, and just kind of like, okay, and is this it? I think I messaged Robin, because Robin had finished, before you had finished, and I was like, I just need to talk to someone about this, and the thing I need to say is this it? And she said, yep.
Extremely depressing. I'm glad you could talk to Robin about it at that moment, so I was dragging my feet.
Like, it wasn't even a conversation. It was literally just like, is this it? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, it feels very neutered. And she was like, yep. And there's just not that much more to say about it.
Nope. I wish they hadn't done this. I wish they hadn't gotten my hopes up and then dashed them against the rocks, like Odysseus' ship at some point, probably. I don't know. If we're going to live in an age of maximalist Greek myth interpretations, I wish any of them had teeth. Like, any of them at all. Except Hades Town. This is not about Hades Town. Love you, Hades Town. The whole point of Hades Town is that it's a sad song, but we're going to sing it even so. Imagine if any of these could be sad.
You could go read those Katie Roberts Olympus books again.
Those
I don't know that they really have teeth. They have teeth in a different way.
Well, yeah. Also, the thing that pisses me off about those, as much as I enjoy them, is they're not Greek myth inspired. No. They're mafia books with a Greek myth skin.
They are mafia books. I thought it was going to be more like, it is magical, kind of, but I thought that it was going to be more magical, which I would like. Katie Roberts, write another Olympus series where they're kind of
It isn't even magic. There's no magic, right?
I think they, like, sort of are. Like, there's the weirdness of, like, crossing the bridge. Like, there's some aspects where there's, like, it's not quite reality, but not enough for it to really matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only, like, magic in it is that the mafia families that run the town are so powerful that it's like there's no outside world. But there is. Anyway. So, yes. Good Greek myth adaptations, come to me, please. Somewhere. Maybe I'll just reread Song of Achilles. I don't know. It's just where we're at.
Do you want to talk about my game?
Let's do that. I'm tired of being mad. Well, maybe we'll be mad here. I don't know. This sounded like something you were enjoying. So
no, I had a great time. I have been playing a game called Magical Delicacy, and it came out a little over a year ago, and I was looking through a very full Steam collection page of cooking games, indie cooking games, and I happened upon Magical Delicacy, and it just so happened that, like, a couple days prior to when I saw it, it had gotten Steam Deck verified. So I played, like, 30 hours of Magical Delicacy on my Steam Deck, which might be not totally accurate, because there was a day when I, like, forgot that I had it open, and it wasn't even paused, and it was just, like, open for 8 hours, so maybe 22 hours. But that seems, like, about right. I looked up Time to Beat, and it was, like, 28 and a half hours. But I was really digging this game. It is a, like, Metroidvania light restaurant management cooking game, which I was like,
has so many things in it.
Yes, and I will say that is perhaps a weakness of this game, is that it has so many things in it. There's, like, a lot of systems. I think the core of, like, the mashup is pretty fun. It's like the town. So you have a restaurant, a store, where you can make your magical cooking goods, and the townspeople are scattered around the town, which is kind of falling apart, so you have to do some platforming to get to the people who will put in orders. You go back to your shop, and then you deliver them food. I wish the platforming... It's, like, extensive in the sense that, like, everywhere you go, you kind of have to do platforming, but the platforming itself, it's not super interesting, but it adds something kind of fun about... It would be, I think, very boring if it was just, like, only... You're just, like, running back and forth delivering it. It would be like, what's the point of this? So I liked the platforming aspect of it. I liked the way they had some interesting platforming things. So, like, there's a day-night cycle that can affect your cooking. So, like, you can only make potions at night. Or, like, most potions have to be brewed at night. And also, there's some platforms that only show up at night. So, that was
you can
fun.
only, like, get to certain places at night?
Yeah. And then it's a Metroidvania because you are gaining different abilities throughout the narrative. So you gain, like, a double jump, and eventually you get, like, a broom, and that opens up more areas. The map is interesting, too, because it's, like, different frames, and it shows, like, circles to where there's a transfer point between the areas, and it'll show, like, red if you haven't explored it yet, which is nice. There's also a ton of accessibility settings in the game, as far as, like, not just accessibility, but also, like, customization, where you can make the platforming easier or harder if you want, and you can, like, have different levels of tutorializing. So at, like, the highest level, which is the default, it's, like, telling you how to move around with a stick, which I think is, like, nice, meaning, like, a dual analog stick, which I think is nice for, like, being very friendly. And then I think it's also nice that you can, like, totally turn off all the tutorializing, which may have made things difficult for me, because I did spend the first 30 minutes of the game completely stuck and not able to progress, because I didn't realize that you could jump down beneath platforms. But I think even with the tutorializing turned all the way up, like, I don't know that it mentioned it. That drove me insane a little bit. But after I got through that, I was really hooked on it.
Were there any specific potions or recipes that you liked making the best? How's the food art in this? Because the standard that I hold all cooking games to now is the food art from Harvestella, which was incredible for,
I still need to play
a game
Harvestella.
that wasn't even... I
haven't
love
played
Harvestella. I hope it gets a sequel. But I think I've sent you the photos of the food art from that game because it just like has no business being that good. So how's the food looking in this game?
The food, you do not really get... no, you do get some food art. I won't say it's not super intricate. It's usually like, if it's like a certain type of food, it might have different colors depending on the, like... I think there's a different illustration for each of the... Or not illustration, it's pixel art. But for each of the like types of recipes, and then if you have different ingredients, it might be like different colors. But it's not notable. Like, I didn't really notice it, so it's not like super exciting. But I will say the cooking system, this is like probably the most interesting cooking system in a cooking game I've ever played, and I've played a lot of cooking games. So you've got a ton of different ingredients. The cooking itself is like you're putting stuff into like an oven or a pan, or you get a bunch of different tools so you can like eventually dry ingredients. You can get an altar where you can enchant ingredients. You have a mortar and pestle from the beginning, so you can like make flour from wheat. Eventually you can brew tea. You can put stuff in the oven, a pan. The cooking itself is just putting ingredients into the tool and then making sure it doesn't burn for some of them. But it's the ingredients that is like an interesting system, because all the different ingredients are like a different type of ingredient and they all have a different flavor. And the flavors have different strengths. So like sweet flavors are very strong, whereas like delicate flavors are not that strong. And if you want... So you might get a recipe or a request from someone that's like, put something sweet in it, but they want the final flavor to be delicate. And so you have to understand this like kind of opaque chart that took me a while to understand about like what will overpower what, and like how much of an ingredient you would need to overpower the other one. So like you would either need an ingredient that cancel out sweet, or you would need enough delicate things for the final flavor to be delicate and not sweet. And so I thought that was really interesting. And there's so many ingredients. So you're like, the other part of the platforming is you're like platforming around, and there's different ingredients around the town, whether it's like an onion or different flowers that you can pick, and then it takes like a day or two to regrow. There's like a little mini game with picking them. So you're exploring, there's like I think there's like 50 different ingredients. So there's a ton of different ingredients, there's a ton of different recipes, and then on top of the recipes, the like townspeople that are requesting things from you might be like, oh, I want you to follow this recipe, but I want you to include this specific spice, or like I want it to be spicy. So it's not just the recipe, but like variations on the recipe. That's like kind of a puzzle to figure out. And I really liked that. So I really liked the combo of exploration and like interesting cooking mechanics, and also being able to like discover recipes, having a ton of recipes and a ton of possible combinations. I really like that. And it feels like one of my favorite games ever, which was like widely described as an extremely mid game, was Little Dragon's Cafe, which we've maybe talked about before. And Little Dragon's Cafe it's very cutesy. You have a little dragon that you can ride around on, and as they grow, you can reach further and further areas where you can gather ingredients, and it's like very narrative character driven, but that combo of like exploration and cooking really hit for me. It also had a rhythm-based cooking game, which was fun. So that really hit for me, and I feel like Magical Delicacy hit for me in the same way. I think I just really enjoy that combination of like the exploration with a big variety of like recipes to discover. And I also think like the narrative there wasn't a ton of narrative, but pretty much every interaction with a townsperson was like a pretty well written, like short exchange, where it didn't feel like too much, where I was like, oh my god, I don't like, it's so much reading, I don't really care about these characters. I liked all the characters. I thought they were interesting. I thought they had like their own motivations and preferences with food, and they like had a very low, like short conversations that were still interesting, and they also kind of connected to the overall story, which is about, you end up with a dragon egg So I guess also similar to
Cool.
Little Dragon's Cafe, you end
Dragon
up with a
Cafe.
dragon. And you're a witch, and there's different witch covens that have
Mm.
different attitudes about what should happen with the dragon. There's like another faction in the city that, like, if they found out about the dragon, they would kill it. So there's like these competing factions and people with different motivations that made it pretty interesting, even though it's not a super narrative heavy game. So I think, like, overall, I really, really liked it. There's definitely, like, there's a couple little bugs and there's some quality of life stuff. If you're not, like, really into the cooking system, I think you will find it overwhelming and annoying, but I found
Mm.
it fun and interesting. I think, like I was saying, it suffers a little bit from having a ton of systems. So it's like, it's got the platforming, it's got the cooking, it's got all these tools, all these ingredients. It also has different trinkets that, like, give you different abilities, but you can't have all of them equipped at the same time.
Mm.
There's just a lot going on, and I kind of wish that that breadth of systems was focused more in depth of some of the things, because I feel like there were so many recipes and I probably only cooked like 15% of them, you know? And I felt like I was always out of storage. I had all these ingredients, but never felt like I had enough surplus of the ingredients to feel comfortable
Mm.
like wasting one on a meal I wasn't sure was gonna turn out. So I wish that maybe that balance was a little different, but I still I mean, I played it and rolled credits on it, and there's some after credits you can keep playing. So I think I'm gonna try and 100% it with the achievements. So, like, I still really liked it.
Yeah, and you still want to keep going. I was gonna ask
Yeah,
if you'd beaten it yet,
yeah,
or if you were still in the midst of things.
yeah.
You technically have.
One last thing I want to say about it that I really
Mm-hmm.
liked and thought was really interesting is the fast travel system in it is like interwoven with these different witch covens. So like there are
Oh,
these
cool.
fountains, and when you talk to like the main witch that you're talking to, she gives you a sigil that's like associated with her coven that allows you to travel between the different fountains. But then one of the other witches that's part of a different coven that has like a different perspective on, like, uses different kind of magic, different perspective on what to do with the dragon. They have their own system that is like
Hmm.
crow statues. And so, like, at first you only
Oh.
have the fountains, or like, and you don't even unlock the fountains until later. Um, and then you unlock the crow statues, and there's not always, the only place where there's both of them is right by your shop, and there's like
Mm-hmm.
they're in different places. So it's kind of fun that, like, you have a fast travel system that's convenient, but you still kind of have to think about it until you get a keepsake where you can return home like really easily. But that was like pretty late in the game for me.
Do you have to
So,
choose a faction? Like, do you get locked
no.
out of one or the other?
No, you are able to like carry the sigil for both of them and use both of them. Yeah, you kind of operate as like a free agent a little bit.
An independent?
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
So,
Got it. It does sound really fun. It's reminding me. It's reminding me just hearing about it a little bit of Potion Permit, which is why I'm a
mhm.
little like wary. Like I don't think I would probably have gotten into it as much as you have.
Mhm.
But also the flavor balancing aspect of it actually made me think most of. Did you play Pokemon Diamond and Pearl at all?
Maybe I remember, but I think they also had this system in what was the first, like, the open world one?
Legends Arceus?
No, it was before that. Um it doesn't matter. Whatever. I think there's another Pokemon game that also has like a flavor balancing system.
Yeah, I just am remembering specifically making poffins
Mm.
in Diamond and Pearl, which also involved a stirring mechanic on the touch screen that totally wrecked my my touch screen because I was going at it so fast at the with my stylus. But you did have to balance the flavors of the poffins
Mhm.
with various berries quite carefully. So that's what I was thinking of right now.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about it is it has really pretty pixel art in a way that's interesting to me, because I feel like a lot of times when you have 2D pixel art, you're getting like little chibi characters where they, like, maybe they have illustrated portraits, but like when they're walking around in the world, they look like cute little guys, and instead it's pixel art, but they look like adults. Like,
Nice.
so I would.
Oh yeah, I did look at this when you first started playing, and it was pretty.
Yeah, I think it's pretty. But I had a really good time with it, and I had like more to say about it than I was expecting to. So I would recommend it if you're a cooking fan. Yes, Magical Delicacy.
I am a cooking fan, both in games and in real life. But now I'm like, I haven't cooked anything good in a while in real life. So this is my kick in the pants to go look up a recipe and try something new.
Yeah.
Aside from gaming, what else have you been up to lately?
So mostly it has been wedding planning, but while we wedding plan, we've been watching all of the Spider-Man movies, meaning like we started with the Tobey Maguire ones, which are the only Spider-Man movies I've seen actually, was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy. We finished those. The other night we watched the first Andrew Garfield one. I'm excited to get to the Tom Holland ones because I like Tom Holland. I want to watch him and Zendaya interacting. Yeah, that's like most. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was something I was reading. Oh, I've been reading Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey, which is, I've read a lot of Tessa Bailey. Yeah, I've read a lot of Tessa Bailey's books. I like her. I like how she writes. I mean, they're just romance novels you can like consume so rapidly, but I enjoy them. And I've been avoiding this one even though I've heard that it's really good because it is about a professional golfer and a girl who's really into golf. And I was like, I don't read the professional golfer.
With a name like Fangirl Down, that was not what I was expecting. I was expecting more nerd fandom-y, like someone really into Interview with the Vampire or something.
No, she's a nerd for golf.
Golfer.
But I just kept coming up on good old r/romance on various posts that I said, that sounds interesting to me, and then people would recommend Fangirl Down, and I was like, I guess I'll read about the professional golfer. Guess what? It's pretty fucking good.
Okay. I think you're going somewhere I can't follow, but I hope that somebody listening.
It's the good part is not the golf part. It hasn't changed my mind about golf. I do not find it attractive, but the guy who's a professional golfer in it is able to be attractive, so that's what I've been doing lately.
Yeah.
What have you been doing lately? I heard you took a field trip.
I did take a field trip, and I brought some souvenirs to show you. So you've already seen one, but I went to the Pokemon exhibit at the Field Museum here in Chicago. We've had tickets for a while, me and my friends. And I was excited to go because I love like Pokemon. And one thing that I didn't know about it, but it turns out was the reason why it was so sold out for a really long time, is you actually get a Pokemon card for going that's exclusive to the exhibit. So I have mine here. I'm showing it to Emmy now.
Wow,
Oh my god, and it's so blurry.
I really thought that when you said Pokemon card, I was imagining a Pokemon trainer card, like a license or a credit card. Which is,
God,
like, of course it's a Pokemon card. Like, it's a collectible Pokemon card.
Separately, and I still need to purchase mine because I do like it, but separately they are actually selling a Ventra card, which is like the CTA, like Metro card equivalent in Chicago, with Excavator Pikachu on it. So I will be buying one of those for my daily use of going around on the trains because I think that's so cute. But no, the card they give you at the exhibit is an Archeops card, which I looked it up. And it's selling for like $30 on eBay. Wow. If anyone's seeing the video clip of this, you're not seeing the card because my camera is refusing to focus on it. But
I think having otherwise, plastic on it isn't helpful.
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid to take it out of the plastic because I almost threw this thing out also, by the way, and I'm sure collectors are screaming. But it's because I went to the gift shop, had a gift bag, the card was in it. I took the thing I bought out of there and forgot this little piece of paper is in there. So I rescued it. But yeah, I'm afraid to take it out of the plastic because I know that, I need to keep it nice for one day when maybe this is the down payment on a house, I assume. I'm counting on it. But yeah, it only sells for like $30 online right now.
Have I told you about how so we had a lot of Beanie Babies when I was a young child. I mean, they're still in like
yes.
No one robbed my parents, but they're still in like a trash bag in my parents' basement. Literally just like piles of Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
And we, for a long time, in our basement, had a guidebook about the price of various Beanie Babies. And it's very funny to like look at it in, you know, I don't know, the last time I looked at it was probably in like 2014 or something, and it's like, oh, this Beanie Baby was expected to cost $8 million in 2012.
Oh it's tulip bulbs all the way down.
Yeah.
But I mean, speaking of plushies, that also will probably be worth a down payment on a house, which is not true, obviously. But the only souvenir I bought was this plushie, which is Excavator Pikachu. He wears a little excavator hat with a fossil pin on it. Yeah, he's holding a pickaxe. He's wearing a kerchief. He's got his little vest. He's out in the field. He looks very happy.
He says, fun science.
He says, I'm just mad. I was kind of hoping, because this thing was like $40, all right? Sorry to my wallet. I shouldn't have bought him, but he was so cute. I was hoping that for that price, you would be able to like remove the clothes or like remove the hat, and you would have a normal Pikachu head underneath. And that is not the case. This is it's part of him. If I removed his hat, you would expose his fluffy little brains. So, but this is my son. We're going to go on adventures together. We're going to find some fossils. And as for the exhibit itself, it was extremely cute. And I think well done, but I was hoping for more from it. There were a bunch of kids there. So obviously it's also something that's more for like millennial parents with Pokemon nostalgia and children they need to entertain. Like that's the real draw. And then there was me and my friends, childless and nerdy as fuck. So that's what we were there for. First off, everything was very clearly labeled on, this is a fake Pokemon fossil. This is a real fossil from real life. And I'm glad that they had those very well labeled for kids, because then you could actually learn from the exhibit, which was, I think, one of the most important things about it. They had excellent artwork, as like in Pokemon style, of real archaeologists and scientists that worked at the museum on the exhibit, which was also super cool. And everybody has a crush on one of them. I remember sending you and Robin artwork of one of the archaeologists, and everybody
I have a crush
like,
on maybe two of them, I would say.
That, fair. So we also got to see that artwork and their work. And then the only thing, my two main gripes, I would say, is that there should have been more fake fossils, because sometimes they had a like fake fossil of the adult Pokemon and not the baby version, and I wanted to see the baby version. There was no Amara, there was an Aurorus, but not an Amara. And I love Amara, so what gives? That's my personal, like, there was a little Tyrant, okay? So the Tyrant people got their fill, but what about me? Second thing, which is actually a real idea that I think they could have implemented better. Many fossils are found in fragments, right? In real life. Like, you find pieces and you try to put them together. And they didn't play with that in any way, maybe because the canon of Pokemon that's not how that works necessarily. Although in Sword and Shield, they did do a really fun, cool thing of the reference for those games for their fossil Pokemon were back when British archaeologists were just figuring this kind of thing out, and they would put together pieces of fossils that actually didn't fit together for display. And so the idea in the Pokemon world was that that's what happened, but then when they went to revive those Pokemon, they came out very wonky because they were actually made up of different parts of different Pokemon. So I don't know if you remember in that game, it would basically be like the back half of this Pokemon is clearly like a fish guy, and the front half of this one is like a T-Rex. I was kind of hoping that they would show like fake fragments of things, like, oh, we found a piece of this and we don't know what it belongs to. And that also, if we're thinking in a business marketing perspective, would have been the perfect way to tease whatever the fossil Pokemon are going to be in Wind and Waves. But apparently they're not as forward-thinking as I am, because the only fossils that they had available were full sets of, like, a big Pokemon and a little Pokemon, and then also the quote-unquote fossil from which you revive those Pokemon, like the Sail fossil. But I wanted to see more pieces, like, oh, this is the leg of something, if we had the full thing. And that was not what it was about.
Yeah, that would be also a fun, like, additional learning opportunity, too, about, like, oh, this is how, like, paleontologists put together fossils or archaeologists put together pieces of relics. And they could also, we're just full of ideas for Pokemon marketing at this point, but if they sold, like, a puzzle, like, some kind of little interactive game that was, like, putting it together, I think that I would have gone feral for that as a child.
So, I mean, they did... So the gift shop for this was an entirely different thing because it was so controlled in a way that was clearly meant to prevent scalping, which I appreciate, but also so controlled in a kind of scary way just for if you did like stuff and wanted to buy stuff. First off, the tickets were timed, and you had to arrive within a certain amount of time to do your ticket, otherwise you lost it, so that was very controlled to begin with. You were given your Pokemon card when you entered the exhibit. When you exited the exhibit, you were given a voucher, and only with that voucher were you able to enter the gift shop for the exhibit. So you had to have a ticket for the gift shop. With that voucher, you were allowed to buy 5 total items, no more than that, from the gift shop, and those items could not be duplicates. You could only get one of whatever.
So you couldn't have even, if I wanted one of the Pikachu, you actually couldn't have even gotten me one.
No, I would have had to enlist a kind stranger to get it, if I also wanted one. So, in any case, sorry, I'm also still holding him on my lap right now. Like, it really is. It's like, this is a baby. So you go in there, and they had plushes available of a lot of the fossil Pokemon. I would have been tempted to get an Aurorozor and Amara, but they were, like, little sitting cuties ones, you know, like, from the Pokemon Center, and I wanted a larger plushie that I could hug. This Pikachu is a good size or a little larger. So I didn't get anything else. They did have model kits of a lot of popular Pokemon, but they weren't fossil kits, and that's where that would have been extremely cool. But they were pretty standard model kits of, like, a Pichu, or what's the fire starter from Scarlet and Violet? I forget.
Not Tepig.
Not Tepig. They did have a Tepig, and Tepig is my baby,
I love
so
Tepig.
I was also very tempted by Tepig, but no, I just walked away with my plushie. And then they had, like, backpacks and a mug and so a cookbook and things like that as well. And of course also t-shirts. The t-shirts were the real thing that was, like, specific to the exhibit, but they were very expensive for t-shirts. So again, not my jam, but it was all very controlled. And then at the end, when I paid for my Pikachu plushie, they took my voucher away, and I'm a little sad about that because my voucher number was actually 777, and that felt very lucky and cool. So I took a photo of it, but I did have to give it away, presumably so that you couldn't walk out there, hand your voucher to somebody else, and then have them loop through and buy more items. So very regimented. So that's why I expect my card to be worth, you know, an education one day or something. Because I went through all that, and for what? But no, actually, I looked it up on eBay because I was curious. I'm not selling it. I'll probably keep it around because it's a cute souvenir. But it only sells for like $30 on eBay, which isn't even how much the ticket for the exhibit cost. The ticket for the exhibit was
couldn't
like
even
$35.
get reimbursed.
No, like
you'd take a $5 loss.
Minimum, that's just wrong. It should at least cost what it took to go to the exhibit. So, no. But it was very fun to do. I'm glad I went. It was cute seeing a lot of kids happy and excited about it as well while we were there. I hope they learned something. My favorite juxtaposition that they did of real versus fake was they had a Relicanth fossil, and then right next to it, facing it, a real-life Coelacanth. Which is, or like a model of a Coelacanth, which is what inspired the Relicanth. And I liked seeing those two together. And then somebody else who was at the exhibit at the same time then did a pose as if they were, like, kissing the Relicanth and had their friend take a photo, and I also found that interesting. I've just never liked Relicanth that much, so.
Speaking of Pokemon and Nintendo, I remember the other thing we've been doing is Rob has been playing Tears of the Kingdom. And Rob has, like, a special way of both being on Reddit all the time while also, like, not learning details about pop culture things. So like he was aware of Tears of the Kingdom and yet somehow was not exposed to like any of the content about Tears of the Kingdom.
Huh.
Even though I think he also watched me play. I don't know, or maybe he did and he forgot or something, but it's been very fun to watch him like be delighted by it. Like he attached a mushroom to a sword for the first time and he was like, I have a mushroom sword. So
I've invented something that no one has discovered before.
Yeah. I don't know, he's claiming he's the first one to do it, but he was very excited about it, which was cute.
Cute. Yeah. Miss those days. They've announced a lot more casting for the Zelda movie, by the way, which unfortunately I am, getting news of.
Did you know they're casting for a live-action Naruto movie?
Yeah, I keep getting ads for it. We should audition. We should audition.
I think Surely Tom Holland was just on my mind because Rob asked like who should play Naruto, and I was like Tom Holland. But it's the same director as the most recent Spider-Man movie is also directing.
Daniel Destin
Naruto.
Oh. Well, yes.
To verify that information, but I was like, Tom Holland should play Naruto.
Perfect. No notes.
I think that's all from me. I'm still playing Metaphor.
Of course. Well, that's like a 500-hour game or whatever.
Yeah, and I got distracted by Magical Delicacy, so I haven't made much progress on it.
You just have to finish it before Fire Emblem, the new one, Fortune's Weave, comes out. Because that's Direct September, had so many delicious things. September 17th, so countdown begins. I've got it pre-ordered. I have a special edition pre-ordered.
That's all for this grab bag.
That's all for now. If you see me online later playing Hades 2, no, you didn't. After all that, just know you didn't.
Okay.
Cool?
Bye!
Bye. Also, Emmy, I'm so mad. I just remembered that there was something I specifically wanted to say to you about the Typhon fight, but we got too caught up talking about how bad the ending of Hades 2 was that I didn't even get to talk about the Typhon fight. And I needed to tell you that the first thing that I thought when Typhon started, like, waggling his tongue during the fight was, I said, oh my god, like, what that tongue do? And then it turns out a lot of damage. It turns out that tongue do a lot of damage.